only thing we have to fear is
In war,
fear itself.
there is no substitute for victory.
Let us never negotiate out of fear.
We stand undivided, forever united, fighting hand in hand for the liberty we've earned, for glory and honor, for our sons and daughters, ever mindful of the lessons we've learned. Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome to the intersection of faith and politics. You found Wallbuilders Live with David Barton and Rick Green, and you also found us on Friday, so that means we're going to be talking about good news today from across the nation. For more information, you can go to our websites at wallbuilders.com and wallbuilderslive.com. You can also get some news right there on those websites on the homepage. Good resource for what's going on out there. But today's news is going to be good news.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, that is a cool, we put a lot of news articles up there that often don't make the main blogs and other places. So there's some fun articles up there that people enjoy. Yeah, today is good news, and there is a stack of it. There's a bunch. It grows every week. There's someday I think I'm going to get to the bottom of it, and I haven't yet. So we'll see how much we get today.
That's a good problem to have.
Well, let's start with, we've come through a graduation season. It hadn't been just a few weeks back that kids were graduating from high school. And this year was a pretty vicious year. I mean, there were some serious attacks to get any acknowledgement of God removed. And one of them occurred in Bastrop High School in Louisiana. Bastrop High School in Louisiana, they have, since the beginning of time for them, had prayer at graduation. And they were going to this year like they've always had, but one kid objected. And when the school board attorney heard about it, he said, "Oh, you guys have got to jerk prayer out. You can't do prayer in the graduate." It just always amazed me how that one person objecting gets this done.
The heckler's veto.
The heckler's veto. It never works for me. I've objected to a lot of stuff, and I objected to elections that I didn't like the way they still swore the guy in afterwards. So it's never seemed to work, but it seems to work for attorneys. I mean, and it only works because if you're an outsider, that's what the court created in 1992, what they called the outsider test. If you say, "Oh, I feel like an outsider in my own high school graduation," then they say, "Oh, well, everybody else has got to feel like an outsider so that you won't." So the school attorney recommended that they do this. So they went back, and at big expense, they reprinted all the graduation programs, and they took out the prayer, and it didn't show, and they just left it as a moment of silence. So they get to the graduation. At the graduation, and it's Morehouse Parish School, so at the graduation, the seniors, they didn't care what the ACLU said, and they didn't care what this kid said. And so graduating senior Lacey Ray Matisse stood up and said, let's stop for a moment of silence, and I'd like to pray too. And so she led them all in the Lord's Prayer, and they all joined in the Lord's Prayer. And so take that, ACLU, right in your eye.
Absolutely.
I love, bless her heart. She just, we're not going to take it. That's right. Who cares what the school attorney says? You've got a constitutional right to express your faith. It's called the free exercise of religion, not the free exercise from religion, but of religion. And bless her for doing it. So that's a kind of a fun one too. It's an upbeat thing. And I'm seeing more and more kids do that. They stand up and say, "Wait a minute, we're going to do this. This is our graduation, and get over it. If you don't like it, that's fine, but we're going to enjoy the moment." So that's been a really good one.
And those are young people that have the courage to do it. They want to lead. These are kids that are saying, "Hey, I'm old enough to understand what freedom's about, and I'm not afraid to take a stand." They're kind of looking for the opportunity to step forward. We call it leading the change, and that's what they're doing. That's right.
We got a pro-life one here. Adult stem cell, we've talked about that on previous programs, the difference between adult and embryonic stem cell. Still have zero cures from embryonic stem cell, and that's about 25 years into the process now.
Total failure.
Total failure.
Only people really even funding it now are politicians, unfortunately, government.
And research guys who want a job for the next 30 years, so they get states like California and Missouri to fund it. It's not doing anything in the way of producing results. But what has happened is we've seen adult stem cell grow and grow and grow, and the number of, last I knew it was like 82 cures that came from adult stem cell, and that's an ethical form. And by the way, adult stem cell doesn't mean you're an adult, it just means you're born. So from the time that you leave your mother's womb, you're an adult with adult stem cell. The placenta itself that kept that baby alive inside the mother's womb, that's where they get a lot of it, and stem blood and the umbilical cord. So adult stem cells have nothing to do with the age, it just means that you're not an embryo. And here's another adult stem cell cure, and it's for AIDS of all things.
No kidding.
Yeah, adult stem cell is used and has put AIDS in complete remission, and it's not moving, not going, not aggressive, and it's adult stem cells that did it. So there's, I don't know if it was the way it was 2 or 3 years ago, this would be number 83, but for now, it may be 152 for all I know, because we've had so many.
And some of this stuff just, I mean, you talk about unbelievable science and just phenomenal what they've been able to do.
Yep.
I mean, it's taking God's creation and saying, wow, I mean, he made us to be able to heal and all these things, and these guys are figuring out ways to do it ethically.
Well, you remember David Prentice told us that these stem cells have little triggers in them. It's like a light switch, and if you can hit the light switch, it'll turn it on and it'll kind of heal itself. I mean, it's pretty fascinating. And they struggle to find the light switch to turn on and off these stem cells to get them to do what they want, but they're figuring out how to do this. And so you can actually say, physician, heal thyself in some ways, like that pejorative out of the Bible. But if they can figure out how to turn but it doesn't work with embryonic stem cell. It works with adult stem cell.
So if you violate God's law and taking the life, it's not going to work. But if you do it the way that he designed it,
you get the results.
That's amazing.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff. All right, lots of good news. We got more for you when we come back. You're listening to Wallbuilders Live with David Barton and Rick Green. Hey friends, Rick Green. I want to tell you about a great Wallbuilders program called Patriot Academy. It's for 16 to 25-year-old young leaders. We train them in a biblical worldview and how to get involved and make a difference. They get to come to the state capitol in Texas and serve as a state representative. But rather than find out about it from me, listen to the students that are actually there participating.
Patriot Academy is essential to the preparation, training, and equipping of the next generation of conservative leaders.
I just feel that this is the most hands-on experience that anyone our age can even attempt to have.
If you want to get involved in the political process, no matter what area, staff, campaign, you want to be an elected official, this is the place to come to find out and to test yourself if you have what it takes.
And if you're one of those young conservative leaders, you'll find that Patriot Academy will give you an in-depth, hands-on experience as to what it's like to really be part of the political process.
Well, there you have it, friends. A great opportunity for 16 to 25-year-olds to become the next generation of leadership. Find out more at patriotacademy.com.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. It's Wallbuilders Live, and it's Good News Friday, so we're going through the list of good news. So already we've got some good news on the adult stem cell research front again. We'll have to get an update from David or somebody, Prentice, have somebody on to say, okay, what are we up to now? It was 80-something last time.
I mean, it's got to be lots of cures that have come in the last couple of years. Yeah. It's amazing how fast they were developing.
Isn't that a good... I'm sorry, I know you got...
No, it's fine.
This is a side note in my head. I was just thinking about, isn't the adult stem cell versus embryonic stem cell research a great example of why the Founding Fathers did not intend for government to be paying for this kind of research? Let the market decide, because if we're investors, we're going to put our money where stuff's working. If we want to take a risk for higher reward or whatever we can. But government trying to pick winners and losers in scientific research, they always thought that was a bad idea, right?
They did, and the reason is competition works out. I mean, what works will work, and embryonic stem cell has not worked. And if you went to an investor right now and said, hey, would you like to invest $2 billion in my research project? What is it? Embryonic stem cell. Show me the results. We don't have any results. How long have you been doing this? 25 years. And you want me to put $2 billion into it? And a guy from adult stem cell comes through and says, put $2 billion in our research. Well, what do you got to show for it? Well, here's 82 or 150 or whatever cures. Okay, I'll do that. I mean, it's real simple. If you let the free market do it, the money will flow to where it is successful.
I got to read something out of the Constitution here.
Oh no! Don't get that. Don't pull out that document, man.
That's why it says in Article 1, Section 8, to promote the progress of science and useful arts, comma, by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Yeah. So it doesn't have a period there. It doesn't say promote the progress of science and useful arts, period. It doesn't mean go spend money on it. It means protect that guy's
his right to have a patent on it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's protect the free market, moving science ahead.
These guys had a lot of wisdom, didn't
they? They had a lot of wisdom. And by the way, they had a lot of scientific issues and debates in their day. I mean, there's no question about it. At that point, they were really debating the smallpox thing, vaccinations. We don't want vaccinations. And people like John Adams and Benjamin Rush got out there and said, no, wait a minute, vaccinations work, and you get vaccinated for smallpox, you won't die from it. Well, that's as controversial then as embryonic stem cell is now.
Today,
I mean, they have those debates. So it may be at different levels of the development of science, but they had those big debates back then. Yeah. So there's no difference in that. It's just we debate different issues now.
Yep, absolutely. Well, good stuff, and another example of letting the market decide. You'll get a much better response from it as well. Okay, sorry, I had to jump in there add that on. So.
Well, we saw that Congress, when they were doing the continuing resolutions on the budget, they kept defunding Planned Parenthood and continuing resolutions. Yeah. When it came to the permanent budget solution, they couldn't get the president and the Senate to go along with that, so they didn't defund Planned Parenthood.
Which, for our listeners, just by the way, the reason for defunding Planned Parenthood is defunding abortion, not allowing taxpayer money to go towards abortion.
To facilities that do abortions.
Yeah.
And so that really generated debate. And there is a cool ad that's running. And a lot of states, by the way, have picked this up. Texas just passed SB 1, which defunds bukus of money from Planned Parenthood. Indiana's gone after it. Several states have gone after Planned Parenthood to defund it. There's a great ad that's running on this. And you may remember Abby Johnson, who handled
from College Station.
That's right. She did an abortion clinic. Listen to it. It takes 1 minute. Listen to this ad that's now running that deals with this issue of why funding Planned Parenthood is not a good idea. And this is from a Planned Parenthood director who ran a clinic for 8 years. Here it is.
I joined Planned Parenthood because I wanted to help poor women with real health care needs. I still do.
Abby Johnson was a clinic director for Planned Parenthood and worked there for 8 years.
I learned that Planned Parenthood is not about women's health at all. Their primary profit center and their entire corporate culture is about abortions.
Planned Parenthood is America's largest abortion provider. 98% of their services for pregnant women are abortions, and they receive over $360 million in taxpayer money every year.
My superiors actually instructed me to increase the number of abortions at my facility. I couldn't take it anymore. Low-income women need real health care services, and it's time America knew the truth about Planned Parenthood.
That's powerful.
That's a powerful commercial, and that's running. And people are saying, wait a minute, we thought Planned Parenthood did sex education in schools and did contraception. And like she said, 98% of their services are for abortions.
They're the largest provider of abortion, right?
That's right, the largest abortion provider. So that ad is out running, which is a great ad, and that has really helped the states and others that are moving this thing forward. But there's a lot of support now for killing Planned Parenthood funding.
Tell me if I'm wrong on this, David, but it seems like even 2 years ago, if we had talked about defunding Planned Parenthood, something we've always wanted to do, of course, we couldn't have seen a political reality of that happening at the federal level or at a state level.
That's right.
And now we're seeing states do it.
What a difference. And again, this is what a difference an election will make. Pro-life people showed up, they voted, they elected pro-life legislators who got pro-life rhetoric going, who got pro-life legislation going, and we're seeing it come out with states all over the nation, pro-life stuff, including the defunding of Planned Parenthood in several states.
That's very good. Sometimes I wish we could go back in a time machine and just, take this program and go back 2 years ago and encourage everybody to say, hey, listen, in 2 years, you're going to see all these great victories that are going to happen. So, all right, quick break. We'll be back in a moment here on Wallbuilders Live. It's Good News Friday.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. At the time of the American Revolution, numerous other nations also had revolutions, yet 200 years later, America is the only of those nations still under its original form of government. Is this just good luck? Not according to founding father Benjamin Rush. He declared, "I do not believe that the Constitution was the offspring of inspiration, but I am as perfectly satisfied that it is as much the work of a divine providence as any of the miracles recorded in the Old and New Testament." George Washington agreed. In fact, he declared, "I should be pained to believe that the United States have forgotten that divine interposition which was so often manifested during our Revolution, or that they fail to consider the omnipotence of that God who is alone able to protect them. Our founders acknowledged that our national success had come from God."
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact Wallbuilders at 1-800-8-REBUILD.